One of the important social changes that in the recent years we've seen more and more um, happen is that of the idea of we need to be concerned about our environment, specifically when it comes to the idea of global warming. And there's been a big push, especially in the last year, to do something about the environment and environmental issues. And all of this is an example of social change. Now we see through the physical environment, one of the ideas, according to our book on page 426, is that if humans are to survive, they must achieve a working relationship with their environment. This relationship is something that can't be one-sided. You have to work with your environment. That means your environment works with you as well. And as we see through this, there's an idea that we have to watch our population and the changes in size, the idea of population when it comes to size, the composition and distribution of a population can also affect this environment greatly. I know just recently I saw a article about Prince Harry and his wife were discussing the fact that they were probably only going to have one child because in the past Prince William and his wife have come under fire because they have a larger than normal family, and due to concerns about the population in Britain of the UK copying them in concerns of overcrowding in this day and age, and all that being tied back to the environment. Though through this we see that the innovations, which are discoveries and inventions that are combined, we see that there's some hope in social change. I know one of the things that my brother-in-law especially is impressed with is Tesla and their corporation. Whether it's through their solar cells or through, he has one of their, one of the Tesla's cars, and it is all electric, which involves no oil and no, greenhouse gases. But the idea that this happens, especially when it comes to the social change of environmental concerns, we see that there's this diffusion where all cultures around the world, especially that through the use of the mass media, this is becoming a global issue. And the diffusion, according to our book, is facilitated by the instant flooding of information across national, class, ethnic, and economic boundaries through the use of mass media. So not only is the world being connected through the mass media, these social issues are able to also be taken care of or pushed through the use of the mass media. Now when it comes to the information revolution is one of those things that we are at the height of right now, and it's only growing. At this point in time, we have more information at our hands currently than any other generation ever did at any time. Just today, for instance, I worked a 10-hour shift, and I listened to various YouTube channels, and specifically one on the biography of people. And this would be anywhere from, I listened from the biographies on the Queen Victoria and her reign, Ted Bundy, just even Hitler's secretary. I had a wild day today. All of these are information that normally you would have to go to a library and look up, and then you have to do your own research. But through the use of technology today, we have at our disposal people who sit down and put out 20 to 30 minute videos on this information, and they cite their sources, and we have the information available to us immediately. In the future, this is going to be of great benefit. I mean, for a whole generation that's growing up, that's learning how to look up things, how to research things themselves, and how to find information. It's going to be of great use in the future. Now, the idea of modernization in societies or in underdeveloped nations, it's changed the way that they've done things through an economic and cultural point of view. One of the great things that it's done is, according to our book, advances in communication and computer technology have made it possible for workers in developing nations to collaborate and compete in the global economy. It's this idea again of social change and modernization is pushing us more towards a united global world, both in economic, cultural. We are all able to connect with one another through this. And finally, we see there are four main types of social movements, as according to our book. The first one that we see is that of revolutionary movements. These are the movements that advocate replacement of the existing value scheme. This is very clearly seen in the past, in which you had the February and October revolutions in Russia, where eventually we went from a czardom to that of the USSR. Then we have the reform movements, which pursue changes that will implement the existing value scheme more adequately. This is seen when an example that came to my mind was that of Martin Luther, when he nailed his grievances against the Catholic Church on the church door. He saw the excesses, and he was trying to bring it back to a better way. The next one that we see is that of resistance movements. These arise not only for the purpose of instituting change, but also to block change or to eliminate a previously instituted change. Going back in ancient history, we see during the period when Greece ruled the world, before the Romans conquered it, we had the Maccabean Revolt, in which the area of Israel was told that they had to live under Greek laws, customs, and all their old Jewish traditions had to be thrown out. And this provided a revolt and a resistance movement against those changes. Then finally, we see that there's expressive movements. These are less concerned with institutional change than with a renovation or renewing of a people from within, frequently with the promise of some future redemption. Going back to Russia once again, we see that during the reign of Catherine the Great, one of her ideals was to bring Renaissance thinking and philosophy into Russia, with the eventual goal of freeing the Serbs. Now, while she never did, she began the process of starting this so that down the road the Serbs would one day be free. But she couldn't come in and do it all at once. She had to start the process from within before the process could be completed.